You and your mammy and your granny too. And for all you hoes. I'm sick of this shit. All you hoes. And for all you don't give a damn what you wanna do. And for all you hoes.
They like the chaos.
They like the chaos. So when you're able to
The chaos.
let that chaos reign with,
The chaos.
let that chaos reign with,
The chaos.
let that chaos reign with.
Must reign.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes. Welcome everybody to another live stream, another podcast, or where you want to call this, here on the Chaos Rain channel. I am Chaos Rain. Today, it should be an interesting one. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to this channel. As you know, and as you really know, there are how can I say it? Some troops and some lies being put out here, and not what you want to believe. Because I had to sit there and really look this up, to where a lot of people get this information from. Now, I'm not sure if it's considered accurate or really true. As you know, we're still under the shutdown, but I was able to get something out of the internet off of this, to see what is the glimpse of the numbers between this birth rates between blacks and whites. And today, this is not going to be a very popular content out of all usual content, but I was compelled to really look into this. And I'm not very pleased. I'm very disgusted in a way. But it lets you know, when you have content creators with other platforms bigger, they do like to focus on the other side of the community. And I think they do it for shock jock, pretty much. I don't know what's the really end game, but nonetheless, the content is the content. But overall, when we talk about birth rates between blacks and whites, is black women have more babies? Is white women have more babies? Or any person that labels white having more kids than black people in America? I mean, it's something that has to be looked at, and it needs to be an ongoing discussion. But personally, when I look at how most communities are structured and how race plays a part in it, is either you're going to be the dominant, the majority, or the lesser than and less dominant. That's how this thing works in nature. So let me play their views on this, and I'm going to put where they got this information from so y'all can see it firsthand. Let's go. Various, enjoy.
Shocking numbers that I ran into when I was working on another post, and I just sort of started looking at the ethnic fertility breakdown in the United States by year. And I will put that on screen here. So here we have from 2000 to 2023, the CDC.
Right here is 2000 to 2023. This is from the CDC, which I'll pull up in a second. But I'm gonna let y'all see it. I just paused so you could get a glimpse right now on this. Let's go.
Ethnic breakdown. Now, you will note that the last firm numbers we have from the CDC are in 2023.
Right.
So, what happens if we project the...
And as I'm looking at detail, the total right now was 2.13. And that is not a sustainable number. For those that don't know, a real stable economy in regards to population across the board has to be roughly, and I'm gonna be very, what do they call that? What's the word they use? No, I ain't gonna use the word because y'all y'all get caught on the labels. I'm gonna be precise and honest with y'all. To have a stable population growth or population stability, you need to be at 2.4 or roughly at best over 2.5. That means for every cohabitation of two parents, man and woman, to have a really stable or what we call, so you don't lose or gain or actually have a replacement, it should be roughly 3 kids. Now 4 in this society, in this industrial side, is pushing it, but normally close to 3 is the benchmark to have stability in this any economic. Right now, if you look at that picture right here, it says from 2000 to 2023, it said we're at 2.1. So we're not replacement. That's roughly 2 kids. And as numbers trend down to the next decade, we're just approaching still roughly 2 kids. You see where it really overwhelmingly drops very below from this picture from CDC is at 2023 or 2022, and they said we're at 1.66 total. Now, as you see, they're shown by race: non-Hispanic whites, non-Hispanic blacks. And I'm looking at it good. And it's hard to tell because I can't read this. So let me let him play and let him talk more about this, because this is not a good depiction of the picture from what y'all seeing. Let's go.
These numbers and the trends that we have within each ethnic group, because one thing you'll notice very quickly is that numbers are falling way faster in the black group than they are in the other groups.
It's wild.
Specifically,
no, the numbers with your group is not replacing either. And now you're not replacing. I said this and I'll say this again. To have a very much stability in regards to replacement level in your population, it has to be greater than 2.4. Roughly, you could push it up to over 2.5. Africa right now is at 2.6. So they're not losing, nor they gain. They're actually at what we call the middle part. And so they even go as far as they have now, I think it's like 4.6, which to most societies is kind of pushing it. But as you know, Africa doesn't have a lot of industrial cities like that. They have cities in some parts out of 54 countries, but it's not officially industrialized like we here in America. And America still has so much more land to industrialize, and eventually with industrialization, you could then bring in the technological age as well. After industrialization, next stage is techno age, or technology comes into play. So I understand why these two individuals are focused on, because they want to gain a win, and think because black people, and they really focus on black women, that because black women has very low birth rates right now for a reason. To these two individuals, in their mind, this is a win, and really it's not, because you're not replacing either. Now it would be a real win if you were still at midpoint, where you're at actual replacement and not losing anything at 2.4 higher. But since 2000, we have slowly dipped down every decade from 2 kids to now 1. And within the next couple of years, you're going to barely see any kids in the next 5 years. This is what they said is projecting right now. Let's continue.
blacks went from a fertility rate of 2.26 down to, this was in 2000, to 2023, 1.58. Whereas in the same period, whites went from 1.88 to 1.53, a much less decline. And actually, if you look at the numbers overall, I thought Asian fertility rates might be stabilizing, and they might, but they have actually declined the most, statistically speaking.
Oh my goodness.
So they went from 2.07 to 1.31 is what they're at now. So very bad. But what I would note is Asian fertility.
As you know, they edit. And that's the beautiful thing about when you do these, when they do uploads, you can edit. But, you know, it kind of defeats the purpose when you have to constantly edit what you're trying to say. But what the I know. Let's go.
Rates have been stable for about 3 years.
Okay.
And mind you, on the Chaos Rain show, we do it live, goddammit. Goddamn, we do it live. We do it live.
Most of that fall happened a while ago. So, you know, I get these numbers and I'm like, okay, buddy, let's do the math. Like, at what year If you project going forwards
Uh-huh.
to black fertility.
And you can tell this is a very much not a good image because it's so tiny. I prefer if they're gonna show a picture, at least blow it up so everybody could see, so we could really question it. But you know, like I said, most people nowadays when they do content, they just want to give you a little small snippet of that crap, but they're not gonna show you the actual, numbers. Because most people nowadays, sorry, very lazy. We're very lazy people when it comes to looking at facts and information, and really make sure it's actually accurate, that they're not playing no games here. Because a lot of players play games nowadays with information. All right, let's go.
Fertility rates in the United States fall below white fertility rates.
And here we go. It's on. Race war. Race war. Race war. Race war's on, everybody. It's going down. It's going down.
Because the official confirmed data we have ends in 2023. So what year is that?
I'm gonna guess 2028.
2025.
Oh, wait,
Already
that's
happened.
this year.
Token forfeits. Whites win. Whites win. Race war's over, everybody. Whites won again.
Yeah, so then I decided to go and I was like, well, if it happened this year, there must be somebody who's working with preliminary data that can confirm this, right? Like
Yeah.
from the CDC. And so we actually had it confirmed from two sources where they were looking over the preliminary data. Birth Gauge on X, a pretty standard population tracking account in like the prenatalist community.
Yeah.
They said with the new population estimates by age for US, we can finally revise the TFRs for 2024. So this is last year, by the
Okay.
way.
Okay.
And so this took the white fertility rate from
Now, mind you guys, they got this from once called Twitter, not X. I'm going to show you where they found that. Let's keep listening.
1.54 to 1.52. So white fertility rate was less than we thought. But
Okay.
it took the black fertility rate from 1.52 to 1.49.
Oh my gosh.
So last year, we had numbers showing black fertility was well below white fertility, all right, and well below. Like this is a pretty steep drop. If 1.49 is the real number for black fertility, that is really, really, really steep drop. Like it means the drop is steeper than we thought it was.
That's
because
crazy.
It continued along historical
And
lines.
this
It was
is-
at 1.5 this year.
And this is at
Um,
all income levels, correct? Because I remember looking at graphs that showed that basically the only group that maintained pretty high fertility at higher income levels were white groups, and then actually black fertility at higher income levels really dropped off.
Yeah, even if you look at historic data, whites by far have the highest fertility rate if they're
Yeah.
above 50%.
Now, as you could tell, they're showing this figure here, my household incomes. They're not talking about the people that they keep importing here that classify as white. Did y'all know Indians that come to America are not classified as Indians, they're classified as white? Did y'all know that? The only thing that keeps their identity on point in regards to separation between blacks and whites is Asians. Did y'all notice that? I hope anybody noticed that, because I've noticed that pretty much. So me saying this, that they keep importing people because they're not replacing. Regardless of all the systematic, oppression, racism, and all that stuff, the red line that they normally should be doing, because this is a war of numbers. Because if you're not stable in regards to replacement of your people, you're declining and you're dying, unfortunately. And I know most blacks, I'm just keeping it real, we like to label Latinas other. They're not. They're white. I'm not sure why Negroes still labeling these women and their men as some. Oh no, when they come in this country, they are labeled as white, and they pick them as white. And not only that, they don't come over the borders unless they are actually white. The few that are little darkies or brown skin, those type of Latinos, which they will label them as Negro, they'll come here, but they don't want a certain brand or a certain hue over here. And I just remember that Elon Musk and his group, and with I think this new administration, they let in some more immigrants that's from South Africa that are white here in this country. Y'all aware of this? I hope y'all aware of this. So we gotta be honest here when we talk about the population and who's coming in, who's coming out. We have to know who are the numbers. And we could conclude that they're not bringing in people that of darker hue or whatever, darker race here more, that either qualify or don't qualify to come here. They're bringing people that are ones that don't really offer much. They're trying to escape where part of their homeland is. Maybe they're starving, whatever the case may be, and they'll come to America and be labeled as white to what we call add on to the white dying population here in America. And they'll get great opportunity here. But this is these conversations they're not talking about. So when they talk about say that these people are having a growth, I have to ask the crucial question. Is this growth by one white man and one white woman come together, have sex, and have over 2 or 3 children? Or is it other groups of people that is not what they consider part of this soil we call America that are under the label as white, which they are, because here we only do the color line here in America, let's be honest. They come here and they add onto numbers. These are questions that's not been asked. But I understand with certain content creators, they have to do this. They have to portray this. Is because of the audience. You have to cater to your audience. And if your audience is more representative of your group, you got to cater to make them feel good, make them feel nice, make them feel special. Let's keep going.
But then, so this means, but this also means then that really impoverished Black populations are having fewer kids, correct?
Well, we are. We're going to go into what's causing this. Okay.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I'm so curious. This is crazy.
Given that we have a decently sized Black fan base, I feel like this is what the wokes assume they are.
Teacher, can I be racist?
Oh no, Black people can't be racist.
Who wouldn't let society define him?
You can't be racist.
Black people can too be racist.
And a coach who believed in him.
You want to be a real racist?
Can't drive. Hops the border. Crashes.
Theft is often.
Racist. More like prejudice, but without institutional power.
Let me see if I can fast forward. That was some goofy ass shit. All right. I'm gonna fast forward, guys. Sorry. All right, let's listen more. Oh.
Seen, at least in my experience.
Or maybe Planned Parenthood's finally achieving its originally intended.
And remember, if you have a what they consider a minority crowd on any YouTube channel, let's keep this real. A lot of them could be falling under new labels like conservatism or wherever they want to label themselves, which I say as many times I ask this weird logical question: what are you conserving? And we had to get beyond this liberalism, because liberalism don't do no favors either to Black folks. So I tell Black people many times, when you follow these labels, you got to ask the question, why are you following it? And two, are you following it in your in group, or are you following it for everybody else? Because people that follow liberalism or conservatism that is another race don't really have or deal with your problems, much as your values. Let that sink in.
Mission.
It really is its goal. I actually did the math in this, and the Black population would be, because I've seen the math by the pro anti-abortion organizations, and the numbers do seem to check out. If Planned Parenthood didn't exist, there would be a 46% larger Black population in the United States. So that is
so.
Now the story with this is there are certain Black women of that time wanted to delete their babies in here, because in their mind they were self-hating. Because my thing is this: since Planned Parenthood was put into these neighborhoods and then was legal back in 1973, yeah, why would certain Black women, if they're in certain esteem or high profile, or let's say, working with other white people, would put some of these things in their neighborhoods so they have the option to sit there, delete a baby? Now they said chaos. Why would Black women do that? I tell you, Sid, there's many factors. I would say the main reason is they want to see themselves be deleted. So the best way to do that is they will have these same, facilities back in them time and still now, because it's easier for them to sit there, get, shoot up the club and go in the back alley. Well, it's really dangerous, but getting your things sucked up is dangerous. They'll go into that clinic and have the baby suck out because they use it as a form of concept. And let's be honest, they're only going to do this when it's pertained to a black man, which will have black children, fully black children. But they damn sure won't do with this if they were messing with Miss Charlie. And I'll let Mr. Igmore tell you why.
During my service military with black baby mamas would never put on child support. Explain this reality, black woman. No, they got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right? They got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right? They got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right? They got their reparations, a mixed baby and a white dude, right?
You a goddamn
from God.
Yeah, say more. Let's listen more.
So screwed up. It's the genocide that nobody talks about. What on earth?
But I mean, if you're talking about a genocide that is that aggressive, and it's 89% of Planned Parenthood clinics are in majority minority communities.
It's targeted.
It's an ongoing genocide, and it was set up. No, this isn't some right-wing conspiracy. The Planned Parenthood's website admits their problematic history of explicit connection with the KKK and being explicitly set up to lower black fertility rates.
It's like that Stargate episode where you have this population that's like, we're nice, we're here to help you. And meanwhile, they're like sterilizing everyone and trying to just get them to stop reproducing. That is Planned Parenthood, but with a very racist agenda. I can't believe it. Is that what's going on here? Is it just
no? It's not everything, but it is part of it. And so I want to go through another account where this was confirmed, and this is looking at the CDC's own site. So a guy GZ17 also went over this, going through the CDC's data, and he showed that the black fertility rate went from with whites being 1.535 to blacks being 1.518, and these are the old numbers. Remember, I said the new numbers showed blacks being even lower than that, right?
Yeah,
the 1.49 number. Another interesting note here is with these new numbers, it puts multiracial fertility rate below white fertility rate at 1.45, with the white fertility rate being 1.52, and the Hispanic fertility rate is still really robust. 1.92.
But is it the highest fertility rate?
Here's what's shocking: if you take out black immigrants, the black.
Yeah, but it goes to show Hispanic people, because they follow a Catholic religion, which are white, they're not going to be so eager like most people that are different versions of whites here in America: Scottish, Irish, English, Dutch, French. That's been in America where their parents came from the 1800s, or even go as far as mostly English Europeans that were here since the late 1600s that came here. And you gotta understand, America is like a pot where they keep bringing people in, different European tribes from all walks of life, to have what they consider the American dream, better life, opportunity, lifestyle, So obviously those different groups of Eurocentric people are not gonna be so eager to, either have children if they can, or they don't want to have children. It's one or the other, It is what it is. But mostly that's Latinos, whatever you want to call them. They've been followed by the adoption of the religion to not go and be so eager to delete their babies. The only time you might find anybody as a Latina, especially to go and be like the European women here, because most of them are European descent, because Latin people are derived from Spaniards, which are white people from Spain. But we don't go into those history, because when we look at Spanish people, Latin people would only go by the Tainos and all that stuff, but they've been bred out a long time ago, and that's something people don't talk about. They are actually a good example of how you could breed out a certain population within a few generations in there and become completely white. The only problem here in America, because there's still black people here, which is like, if I did the numbers when I did previous videos or uploads, and I had an upload where I looked at the numbers, said we are at over 14% population. out of that 40%, 5% they said are non-FBA, which did not shock me because the immigrants that come here that are black, fully black, they got to have something. They can't just come here freely because there's no free lunch. Let that sink in. All right, let's keep going.
Black fertility rate could be as low as 1.36. This was as early as 2024. And if you have, like, I have quite a number of black friends, weirdly speaking. I know that people might be surprised by that, but yeah, I have a pretty big community of black friends, and I don't know one of them who is above repopulation rate. In fact, I don't know one of them who has children and is married to another black person. All the ones I know that have kids are married to non-blacks. Right? I love your.
Wait, is your friend who dressed up as you as Halloween at that one time? Did he marry?
Married to an Asian.
I'm trying to think of someone.
Blacks and Asians make hot kids.
They do. Oh God, yeah. I mean,
actually, Asians with most other races make uniquely hot kids. I pointed out that this is like even more extreme when you get Irish and Korean. I think.
No. Irish and Japanese is like
Irish and Japanese. But yeah,
but no, Blasian is beautiful. But whoa, you're right though. I'm going through all of our friends. And they are largely in mixed race marriages. What's up with that too? I mean, I guess we've done some episodes on the plight of the black woman who's dating, because most of our
well, the plight of the black man who's dating. So if you're a black man,
black women are more screwed than black men. Sorry, black women, yeah, are more screwed in dating markets than black men.
I disagree. If there's
God damn, Miss Ann had to do black women like that. Jesus. I mean, I cannot say she's right or wrong. I would say she's right in a way, because let's be honest, the representation of what is blackness, especially when it comes to black women, it's not a good thing. And I think enough reasonable, respectful black women are not pushed back on the propaganda and the negativities and the ratchetness of within their own groups when it comes to other black women. And what happens, everybody paints this big picture of this is black American woman here. You go up there, they're gonna bust it wide open. They're gonna twerk on your cock. They're gonna give you that nasty ooey, ooey, and all that stuff. Man. Anyhow. All right, let's keep going.
Because you've got to keep in mind the percentage of black women that are like far woke progressives. And if you're a black guy who's interested in marrying, you're just not going to do that. I think when I was looking it up, it was something like 96% of black women are Democrats, right? Like, and that can just make them like an active danger to date, because you don't know if they're going to hit you with like random charges or anything like that. Like, I wouldn't deal with it. But what she's pointing out is women here, and this is important to note before we go further into this, is black women have shorter fertility windows than other ethnic groups. I was talking with Telemundo about this, and they
report more fertility problems in general.
Yeah, it's 50% higher fertility complications. And Telemundo.
Yeah, and the reason why that is, and a lot of black women, and really there's some videos out right now, and I'm not gonna play it. I might say that for another broadcast, maybe. Because that's something to look at. But I look into when was the average puberty when women hit puberty in the United States. And I think if I remember what it was, and let me see if I can pull it up for y'all. I don't know if it's still here. Is it there? Let me see. I'm trying to find that. Okay. What year is this? There are many search links. I looked this up. They say the average age for a menstrual cycle by race, ethnicity in the United States. And it goes from non-Hispanic whites, which are white people at 13 years of age. And this was, when was it? 2013, 2017, 2020, I think. And blacks is roughly just teetering 12 years of age, and maybe 13, depending, give or take. Yeah, and everybody other race, like from Asian and stuff, is roughly the same thing, roughly around 13. But you know, I think the overall U.S. average, and it went down every year, and there's a reason why it went down. I remember BJ said that some kids get it like around 10, 11. And we got to understand there's reason for that, because the average, and I know, not gonna believe or have these other words about it, is if you're menstruating at beyond before you hit over 13 and then you're good as 14 years of age, that's telling that the environment and the diet has something to do with why there's a serious decline. And I didn't think it was, but when I did a little quick fact check, because I know that's the culprit, because there's no way how you could be at 13 and maybe 14 in the last 30, 40, or well along 50 years to now it's down to under 12. And some has go far as with Black young girls now, they don't start till like 10. And I heard even one time, one particular person I knew so that she had hers at 8. But when I look at her and look back in that back then and still now, she was very obese. So one of the major culprits of why you will start menstruating very early at a young age as a young girl is because of the diet. The high fructose diet, the processed foods, they will damage your organs and mess up your genetics if not careful. Because I'm looking here, even talking about the BMI, the high BMI correlation metrics also does something to do with why the menstruations happen quicker. And diet does really correlate why women or young girls start to, menstruate very early than the average age of 13 and 14. And shows here high caloric intake, greater body fat, especially from processed foods, sugars, animal protein, and obesity are strongly linked to early medicine, often by 0.5 to a year early, and may now go as far as 2-3 years early now. Now, a lot of people say, do these a lot of young girls got touched early before the age of menstruation? And there's no defined fact, but it would not surprise me that might also play a role. But normally it's usually the diet that causes them to start to bleed early. Yeah. And a lot of women get very sensitive when it comes to their menses, but like I said, this is all what I found. This is educated purpose. Let's go.
I was like, well, that's just because of racism. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, no, it's not. It's partially because of higher rates of obesity. And it's partially due to genetic differences. As we've pointed out in other episodes, blacks have A's, and this isn't just blacks, it's also Asians, have about 1 week shorter gestational cycles. The Telemundo lady, by the way, you're muted, was absolutely convinced that this was due to racism. And I was like, what type of racism are like blacks and Asians both subjected to that was shorten their fertility cycles? Like, and the crazy thing about this is there was a great study on this by, I think I remember reading it in Emil Kierkegaard stuff, where they were looking at interracial couples, and we saw that when you have a black mother and a white father, something that you didn't see when you had a white mother and a black father, which is that the children were born with deficits that you would expect from preterm babies, which basically means
they were full term.
Well, they were considered full term because the mother was black and their fertility cycle is shorter. But so basically the black woman's body like basically thinks it's got the genes that she was made with. I mean, there is some evolutionary divergence here.
Well, we did a whole episode on this, remember? Did
we did an episode where we went over it. I find it to be a really fascinating point. But yeah, it's fascinating because it's one of those things where, and you didn't see this, by the way, which I think sort of shows that this is unlikely to be racism in the children born with black fathers but white mothers, because they kept the child to like, you don't really suffer any problems as a child from being in the womb longer than your genetics expect you to be. But yeah, there's like, there are genetics.
Oh, sorry, I muted. Well, that's something interesting to look at. We gotta keep in mind, most of the hospitals today, as it stands, and we cannot overshadow the racist institutions of how hospitals play when it comes to whites and blacks in regards to dealing with care. Personally, and not saying black people should not trust the hospital, but let you know, say you go that is a risk on your own merit, that you might not come out there properly, unscathed. If you're a black woman, you go there, get your daily check and stuff. They look at you as a white woman when they go through their measurements in regards to certain things. Now, I'm not gonna argue with the BMI because I'm gonna be honest with a lot of black people. You should not be so fat. If you're a black woman, you should not be 200 pounds at any height. I don't care what anybody tell you. Just like me as a man, I should not be 300 pounds at any height. Once we start touching a whole 100 pounds more than the average, you're very risking a lot of ailments. It is what it is. So in regards to, you as a woman, a black woman in the womb, your child might not survive, whatever case may, that varies by your age in these hospitals. Obviously, the older you are, you make it a greater risk. There's no in betweens there. I'm sorry. Unlike whites, especially white woman, which makes sense why if a black man knocks up a white woman, yeah, that child is going to survive the 9 months because she has all the care necessary because the institution was designed for her preservation, her and her man's preservation, not black folks. And most black people come to grips in reality of this. And the ones that's ignorant, you're not been here long enough, and you could possibly be tethering yourself to the black race just for no good reason. So yeah, it probably makes sense in that matter. But there's a reason why it is, because like I said, institutions designed for their own preservation, they're going to get the right care, the necessary care possible for their genetics, their lineage, all stuff. If you're a black woman in under the table, no matter if you got a black man's seed or a non-black man's seed, you put yourself at risk. It is what it is. Let's go.
Differences between populations. And here I am being like, do you think that blacks are, and she said, no, there are no genetic differences. And I'm here being like, excuse me, lady, like, do you think blacks are like taller because they're discriminated against? Like, is this some like Lamarckian evolution thing where you think, you get called a slur one too many times and why you just, it must be because of basketball. They watch basketball and every time they reach, like Lamarckian evolution. For people who don't know what I'm talking about with Lamarckian evolution, it was an older theory of evolution pre-Darwin's that was like the giraffe stretches to get the high leaves.
And so their necks grow longer.
Yeah, and like the blacksmith gets like muscles that he passes down to his children who inherits. And I'm like, is this the way that they think that like ethnic differences happen here? By the way, if you're wondering why I didn't nail her down on this, I was even like, why do you think their skin is black? Like, do you not think that that's genetic? And she was just like, no, it's not. And I was like, I was absolutely dumbfounded. I cannot wait for this interview to come out because I am just so perplexed by it.
I'm assuming it's just going to be taken out in editing because someone's going to be like, well, that was weird.
That made us look incredibly stupid.
Let's just take that out. Yeah. I hope it's on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, no, somebody at the cutting room farm is going to be like, he's right, like there are genetic differences between groups.
Well, yeah, I'm like, this is Telemundo. I feel like in general, Spanish-speaking populations are a lot more based. So.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no, they'd see this and they'd be like, what the
hell? Telemundo is racist like any other institution. There's too much things that's going on racist in the media and Telemundo that we're not giving fans to go into. Too many stories, too much information on what goes on in those Latin American countries when it comes to whites and blacks. So I would not really take Telemundo too seriously because they're just racist and oppressed just like up here in America when it comes to black people and non-black people. Yeah. All right.
Heck is she going on about this for?
Yeah.
But I also wanted to go into why is this happening because it's a
yes. Yeah, Planned Parenthood's been going at this since like what the 60s or 70s. So that's not them. This is new. This is a new.
Well, no, it's been happening since then. So one of the things that we point out in our The Zombification of Black Culture video, which you should really watch if you haven't watched it, is I think one of our all-time best.
It's crazy. I feel like every time we look at Black culture though and Black history, we're like, what has been. There actually is like a systemic racism taking place, but it's not the one that's been like hammered into us by mainstream culture. And that's what's so is it's
yeah,
like,
no. I mean, so like we point out, if you go back to the 1950s, or it might be the 1940s, blacks had a children out of wedlock 5% of the time, and whites had it 10% of the time. So blacks were half the probability of whites of having a child out of wedlock.
The systemic suppression is there, but the call is coming from inside the house, and that's what blew
today's
my
like
mind the most.
86%. If you look at, I love Hate Monger. There's this cartoon show. I'll put a scene from it here where it's a space marine that's supposed to be like an internet hateful person, and he's trying to train a robot to be hateful. And he goes, "Okay, so we just need to go over some statistics here."
Unit 101. Did you know? Did you know 1 in 3 aliens have some sort of weapon built into their physiology? Curious. Curious.
Sorry about that, guys. All right, let's go back.
So what was I saying here? So if you look at the unmarried, and the reason why I got so angry about that in that episode is I was like, BLM made non-traditional family structures one of the core things they wanted to protect about protecting Black culture, when that was not a part of Black culture. That was the antithesis of Black culture if you look at historic Black culture.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, you have what was I gonna with another statistic here? Oh yeah, the other statistic I always love from this one is it shows earning rates of the two groups over time.
Now we got to pause there. You talk about BMM, which was another so-called organization that's run by mostly women, Black women that love to eat pussy, and screw Pookie and Ray Ray. It's not really the good representation of Black people. Even when they wrote that little stupid manifesto saying they wanted to destroy Black families, so you don't want no Black families because you are not in the process of being around long enough anyway. If your whole end game was to collect money from these organizations by either the government or the people and take it and squander on your own with your own, girlfriends and your so-called bum ass baby daddies, that's telling in itself that you're not here for progress. You're here for destruction and degeneracy. And it's funny that a lot of people caught that. They should have kept that post up so we all know, saying they're not here to continue lineage of Black folks. They're here to destroy Black folks, and that's the honest truth. But we can't have these conversations. So BMM are not designed. Their purpose is not here to continue on Black lineage. They're here to cause more Black disunity and Black genocide or deletion. Let's go.
I mean, you see whites like balloon up and blacks barely goes anywhere. And then the other one that I found really crazy was, and this is one of my favorite statistics that I found when working on another video on this, but did you know that there have been more blacks killed in hate crimes, like killed for being Black in the United States in the last 10 years, significantly more, I think it's like double the rate, than there were hate crime murders in the 1950s.
So screwed up. It's
when
so
you had
screwed
like
up.
actual lynchings and stuff like that. Well, I think the severity of race-related violence is hugely overplayed in the media to create narratives of United States that didn't really exist at these individual time periods. And then two, I think that we hugely overplay like the civil rights movement happened and now it's resolved. Where I think that we need to and I think the reason why you see this violence even today and more is because a narrative that is a lie is shoved down our throats, which is that there is nothing different about these populations. And that because there's nothing different about these populations, there's nothing culturally different, there's nothing genetically different. Any difference in outcomes must be because one population is systematically subverting the other population through unfair legal structures or racism or anything like that. And it's the same, this is the same sort of, and then somebody sees through this and they're like, but we are different. And then they go crazy because they don't have like an outlet for dealing with this. And this is the same thing that we've dealt with in a society where you had, anti-Semitism comes from this. And this is also why we talk about the leftists who are anti-Semitic, because if all group differences are can't be due to culture and they can't be due to genetics, well, then why are the Jews, competing everyone else in politics, among billionaires, among actors?
Oh, that's simple, because they're already infected the environment. They were already here already. Their influence spreads more than just a small group of people, for people that don't know. If you understand history of beyond Judaism, but the history of them, the Jews, them people themselves, you'd be surprised how much they already in a lot of industries and stuff, way beyond before, after World War, was it World War II? Yeah. So obviously they're going to be in certain positions because they already were there already. But they were, I want to say, quietly invading these industries. They were always in here, and people never took notice of it. And I think somebody wrote in the chat room. One second, I'm reading the chat, your comment in a second. Let me just take a look. Let me see if that's a comment. Nope, that's not a comment. You guys going to put that in the super chat. I can't pull it up because I'm not sure who wrote that comment. All right, let's keep going. So if you wrote something in the comments and I don't see my end, that means Google did not accept it. So if you want that to be seen, what you wrote, you gotta put a super chat. So support the channel, hit the super chat.
Among comedians, and you have to say, well, they're cheating, right? And that's a normative thing to say. But let's go over why this is happening to blacks.
Please, what's going on?
First, I'm going to go over a Reddit comment, and then we're going to dig into this one because I thought this one was pretty interesting on one of these. So the biggest gaps are in the Deep South. It is where the whites have remained somewhat conservative, but black populations have liberalized. In 2023, white women in Mississippi had a TFR of nearly 1.8 compared to 1.7 for black women. So this wouldn't explain it all, but this would explain part of it. Like, in the South, blacks have become more liberalized and less religious if you contrast them with white populations in the same regions. But yeah, basically the data does back this up. This is happening, but it's not big enough to explain everything. Then I wanted to get into, because remember, I pointed out that their real fertility rate may be closer to 1.3 something. And that's because black immigrants have a fairly high fertility rate. So let's talk about, because they're basically outbreeding the native black population right now. And like actually great replacement theory. Here's my great replacement theory. Native American blacks will be replaced by black immigrants.
Oh, you mean, we'll essentially say slavery immigration wave blacks will be replaced by subsequent immigration wave blacks?
Literally the people who trapped their ancestors and sold them into slavery.
Oh my God.
Those will be the people replacing them. So not awesome, but let's
actually we can unpack that. That might be factual if we are in a time now where most Americans, especially black folks, whether FDA or non, what's happening now is they're being absorbed in the society, for those that don't know. And I said it before on an upload on my channel, which you guys can find here, of we are at 14%. We're no longer at 13%. I'm not sure why people still pushing 13%. Don't believe that because what is these people saying that we're at the same stagnant percentage. No, we are actually up by percent because of the, like they said, black immigrants are in America and they actually are coming in a little bit more in droves. And that is by design for those that don't know. So when they tell us say that they're going to be replaced by the so-called black immigrants, that ones that got something to come here because they don't come here for free, let's be honest, then yeah, that will make more sense. Because when I check about every decade, people that been here since the enslavement, the Ma'afa, they're slowly now being absorbed within the society. And because of this absorption, what happens, they're going to soon, if not careful, and I say not careful, people that are still have a lineage that they could trace back a couple thousand years since the building of America, they're going to be absorbed in the society, which they really want to intentionally do with a lot of black people in America anyway. They're going to absorb them. And I'm just checking some right now. Let me just check that. I see a comment, so All right, let's look at this comment. One person writes, it's funny how he thinks he knows about Black folks' history, but he won't talk about such as still agending towards Black folks. I said something like that earlier in the stream. I mean, you got to understand, when these people talk about people, they like to talk about everybody else except them. Now, we could say this could be potentially a conservative channel. And I say potentially. I don't know, because I cannot go through every video every person creates to have a good synapse what they're at. I'll tell you one thing, the few Black people they do talk about, is for more shock value and, just to be triggering overall. So, but in regards to some of the information, I take it for a grain of salt. My only issue is you better have in your wherever you have your information, you put it out there so people can look this up. Well, that's not a story. Anyhow, let's keep going.
Let's continue here.
Actually, a couple of people have said this in comments or messages to us. This is not actually only you saying this, which is
well,
scary.
I mean, it's not just that. It's that these immigrants who are outbreeding the existing Black population in the United States do not have a high view of American Blacks, of the descendants.
Well, and they earn more in many cases. So
I think they earn demonstrably more.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind, if these people that are not part of FDA, right, and they earning more because they came here with something already, right? They got educated in their homeland, or they come with money. And I would say both, because anytime you see anybody that's not FDA and they are what they consider tethering here, they are the so-called more top part of their society. And I mean top part, like they're somewhat of an upper class in their own home country, and they come here to really more parasite and tether in the Black community in a way, but really they're not. So they will label these type of Blacks as, say, you need to be these type of Blacks. But they forgot these Blacks don't just come here with nothing. They came with something. And not only they came with something, but they're trying to put them as the face of Black people in America, and that is no. Oh no. So obviously, the earning rate, I have to question that. From what I'm hearing otherwise, that there are some people that are FDA still earn more than people that are not FDA Blacks. So I'm not sure I want to agree with that. They're going to have to show some data on that. But let's be honest. When people do this content, they don't really give you the actual where they get their source. And I'm going to show you the source they got, the one they were showing earlier on the stream, for those that don't know. All right, let's keep going. And I'm going to read next comment after this.
They do see themselves as a separate class. They're like, I'm not like, those people, right? Like I'm like a distinct thing. And that's part of why their fertility rate is high. As we always talk about, when you see yourself as a distinct thing and better than other things, they might even have like an active goal of, I wouldn't even say like they might even, like I have had conversations with Black African friends that are like, oh yeah, we need to like replace the American Blacks. Like, they're aware of what's going on, and they're like, if you have a lot of like Black African friends, this may just be me as a filter for this, they're like the most based people on earth, so much so that they love being racist around me to watch me like like my face turn red, because I know, like, do I leave the room right now? Like, do I I have one of those reactions that they know, like, haha, even he based white person cannot be seen in the same room as people making these kinds of jokes, which reminds me of that funny thing that somebody did where they go, it's so funny that if you look at like 90s shows, to be like non-racist, they'd always put like an Asian, a white guy, a Black guy, and like a Hispanic guy on like a team together, as like the superhero team, as like the not racist thing. But it's like, if you've ever had a friend group like that, it's like the most racist friend group you have ever been around.
Yeah.
Because they're all constantly making racial jokes, because they're always like, they're allowed to, because they're in that, whatever.
Free card. Yeah.
So how high? The even Black, when the fertility rate, when the fertility rate.
So let's pause right there. Of your African so-called friends, you didn't know that most people that's African, the men what part of Africa come, they're very much bootlickings, and they kiss up to a lot of white people because they look at white people as gods. Remember, guys, I did a broadcast of this years back. And I don't just portray only what's here in America. I'm talking about Black people generally. We view ourselves as the evil, the epitome of the devil, everything bad, ugly, and stuff, while we view non-black people as gods, beauty, royalty, goodness, perfection. It's a mindset. So anytime you hear a black person from Africa gives all praise and dues to people here in this society that are white, you could tell by default he's more than a coon. He is tethering to these people because he views them as the epitome of their Lord and Savior Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm telling y'all the truth. Anyhow, let me read this comment. All right. The thing is also he needs to be concerned about more immigrationist replacement of these cultures. Yeah. And like the guy said, they flee. Yes, they flee. All right, let's keep going. And the reason why I'm reading the comment now, because you're just posting a super chat, I'm going to let certain things go by Google, but I'm not every comment is going to read. So let's keep going.
For native-born black women was 1.36 to 1.4. You had so this is 2023, so you know around when we were getting that data from, Haitian women had a fertility rate of 2 to 2.2, and Somali women had a fertility rate of 5 to 6 children per woman.
Wow. Okay.
Although 3 to 4 for longer residing, and then if you go to second generation, it drops to 1.7 to 1.9.
Hold on. Yes, we do have a black friend who has 5 kids.
And they said they got a black friend. That black friend is a tether, my dear lady. So, you know, they don't mind you calling them black friend because, you know, they just don't see the game how most people that's been in this country longer see the game. But I digress.
Local.
Is he an immigrant?
Yes. She. Yeah.
Um,
But still, I was like really racking my brain. It's like, oh my God. We do.
No, but this is the thing, you know, we'll get so many, because in the first episode where we mentioned this, you had a bunch of black people in the comments being like, yeah, like none of my friends have kids. Like just literally look around. Like if you're in the black community, who the F is having kids?
And at first my mind was like, yeah, well, I don't know white people who no, we actually know a lot of white families that have a lot of kids. So that's not going to help. But also like, you're right. Like in terms of like Latam families or, you know, families who come from Latin America, like Central or South America, at least historically, no, not above replacement. So
I actually wouldn't be surprised if the Native American Hispanic fertility rate now is above the Hispanic fertility rate of immigrants, because of Hispanic fertility rates. Rothschild, the UN is lying to you. Hispanic fertility rates are actually super low. Like Mexico fell below the US's TFR and stuff like that. So if they're coming from a low fertility environment, they probably have lower fertility expectations.
Well, to be fair, the friends that we made when living in Peru still don't have any kids. The friends that we have who grew up with, like maybe like their parents are from Latin American countries, but they grew up in the US. Not all of them have kids, but more of them do.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Yeah.
And also
they're just getting married so much later. They're doing the same thing that everyone's doing. They're putting it off.
Well, when I talk about the eradication of the American black community, it's not just them being replaced by Africans. It is that their fertility is incredibly dysgenic. So, you know, if we talk about that graph, the one that you were talking about, where, you know, we point out that whites have the highest fertility when they're above 50% income levels, blacks really only have anything close to a decent fertility rate if they're in the bottom 20% of income. And
poverty still really helps with.
No. I mean, what I'm saying is blacks fall below every other group, like including Asians.
Oh, even when they're in poverty?
Yeah.
I blame Planned Parenthood for that.
And by a huge number. I don't know. It's not just Planned Parenthood. I think about like our black friends who like want to get married and have kids. And like they seem to have the Catholic problem, if I'm going to be honest here. A lot of them are way too picky about who they marry. They are like extremely, they like really. Oh, and sorry, the thing that Simone was talking about was black women, which is also important to note, is black women are, if you put like a chart on screen of how often on OkCupid people message back different ethnicities, black men are the only ethnic group that actually emails back their own ethnicity less than other ethnicities. Whereas for, I think, almost every other ethnicity, that's the group that they email back the most.
Everyone else, prefers.
So
they have the highest interest in their own.
Even though, well, and I'll note that actually interracial marriages are still fairly rare. I think it's like 4 to 5% of like.
They're bigger now than they ever have been, though.
Yeah, a pause here, and like I said, and I'm going to speed up. I want to get to these few papers, not lengthy. I'm gonna read all these papers. I'm just gonna scan through for y'all to show where they got the information, basically. But like I said before, I think beyond this podcast, and they're paying attention of the numbers, like most white people do, because they have to pay attention where the numbers are to see where they stand, where we stand, because it is an arm race of who's going to maintain their numbers, you know. And the sad thing about this arm race, white people keep focus on, is they want to make sure that if they're going to be the minority, at least they're the minority of other groups except blacks. So that's why they always pay attention to, is black women having kids with black women having kids with black men, because 2 black people make black children. They're not so focused on the interracial piece because they know it's not producing black people in the long run. And it's ironic because you think they'll be concerned about the 1-drop rule in this conversation, but from what I'm listening to this whole interview, they're not concerned about 1-drop rules. So that tells you this 1-drop rule doesn't have merit in the long run if you're trying to absorb a population that you don't seem as or deem worthy to be around. Just saying. All right, let's go.
So they're becoming a lot more common.
Yeah, but there's still like that's not actually as big a concern. They're just not dating as much. And so like when they date, just what I've noticed is they don't feel this like pressure of like, I have to actually get this done like right now. It's more like when I find the right person.
Yeah.
And when I dated, like, you knew it was very much like, I am dating to find a wife and I have to get this done by this timeline. I mean, it was musical chairs for me. Like, I was like,
and there you go. He just said it right there. They're looking for perfection. There is no perfection. Hear the sound of my voice, you black pieces of black people. Listen to me good. There are only trade-offs in a world that's uncertain. There is no such thing as perfection. For those that are talking about this perfect mate, perfect partner, what you want to call it, this perfect situation, they don't want to be covenanted. They don't want to be cupped up. They don't want to be in a relationship. They don't want seek no marriage. They just want to be around just to play around. That's it. That's the easiest giver when you know where a person is serious. When they talk that bullshit and tell me they're not really want nobody, they just want to fuck around. Sorry, that's what it is. Let's go.
By the end of graduate school, whoever I'm dating, I'm marrying, right? Like,
yeah, you were acting like a Regency era woman who was afraid of becoming an old maid. That's kind of where you were.
Yeah, and I have never seen.
Well, it's more than that. It's just that, you know, if you look at him and his partner he picks, they actually gel nicely together. So good on this man to get out of the game while in college. You know, if you put yourself on these streets, I don't think there's much success for this man finding a mate person. No, I just don't see it. I'm not shitting. I'm just keeping it real. So if you're able to get a woman that could be on your program and is willing to, you know, be something more than just, you know, a little girlfriend, and she's there for the long haul, you do your job. I mean, I can't knock it. That's why you see a lot of white people in general, if they still do, and I'm not sure what the numbers state about them in college, but they still couple up while they're in college and get married after college, roughly. Can't say the same for black people. Black people, when they go to college, they want to have all types of intercourse and party. It is what it is. All right, let's go.
Any of my black friends act like this in regards to marriage.
Yeah.
I would bet what you're going to see upstream of the low black fertility rates in the U.S. is incredibly low black marriage rates. Which
we see that in the data. We do.
Yeah,
we do. Yeah, absolutely. It's
the
there.
other thing that really hit blacks in terms of fertility rates is teen pregnancies. Now, as you've noted, we say that under 19, like if you put a graph of like women's ages and where fertility rates are falling, they're like stable or going up for women in like every category except for the below 19 category. And if you look at teen birth rates, ages 15 to 19, they fell 62% for blacks between 1990 and 2012, and 52% for whites, so more among blacks. And I imagine they've fallen even more since then. And if you're not getting married, and I think that this is what we're seeing with Black communities, is when Black communities move from being married more to being married less, they sort of boosted their fertility rate artificially through a lot of accidental teen pregnancies. And that was largely resolved through better training around contraceptives and condoms. Although I will note that Black women are twice as likely to use no method of contraception than white women, 17% versus 9.5%.
Wow.
Which, when you look at the lower fertility rate in the Black group, shows that they might have been, you know, trained in part by organizations like Parenthood to think of abortion as a form of contraception. Because I can't imagine 17% using no contraception.
No, I don't know, because
That's
Planned Parenthood is
wildly
very
high.
bullish. It's very bullish on contraception, on preventative pregnancy care or non-pregnancy care.
So, well, no, I mean, if you're set up in these communities, you can normalize it. You can still teach these other ideas.
I'm going to give you an answer why Black women don't want condoms or don't believe in the birth controls. And I'm going to look up if there is 32 forms of birth control, because I got to really lay out all the numbers, because I've been hearing this going on long enough. I think it's more than 7 forms of birth control instead of 32, because 32, you got to really label every 32. You can't just say 32 form of concept. Because now we sound dumb here. We got to start giving names, labels. What are they? So people understand. Black women don't want these things. It's because there's an incentive of having children. Now with this cutbacks officially now rolling as it is, you're going to see them going to be on the pill. You're going to see them be on the IDUE. What do you call IDU? What do you call it? IDUE, what do you call it? I think it's one of them devices they put in the arm. IDE, yeah, I think that's what they call it. And some other forms of ways so they don't get knocked up. They're gonna still take raw sex. Let's keep real. They're gonna be barebacking, but overall, the man shoot the club and impregnate. Those days are gonna be pretty much done now. Like, yeah, I don't even imagine. So that's the reason why you see them still. They don't use these things and hope that the men don't get them knocked up, so they gain some incentive. And in regards to Black men, the ones that do knock them up, it's a very small percentage right now, because most Black men that got something to lose, they're not in the direction to be knocking up and having a lot of kids by a lot of women, because they quarantine it, because they want you to pay for these babies, and really you should pay for some of these babies. I'm not promoting that you sit there just busting nuts on all these women and then just keep pushing. No, that's not going to work. And the problem that's not going to work, because other men that want a woman that they, let's say they want to not have as their own, can't do it when there's dudes out here that's already in the cookie jar and already ate the cookies. It's not a good look. It's not a very much enticing sale to average or above average men. Just saying, especially Black men. All right, let's go.
I mean, I think that one of the things happened, or at least that I've seen, is that the Black people who are still having kids, the Black women who are still having kids, they often do it without the expectation of finding another partner. Like, if the key problem is finding a secure and stable partnership, like if that's the system that's gotten broken for Black families, the only path through is to say, then I'm not going to attempt to do that. And that's where you see this really high number of Blacks born out of wedlock. Black children in the United States born out of wedlock is potentially happening, because that's really the only way they can be born if the relationship market for Blacks is this broken. I.e., Black men do not want to reply. I'll put the OkCupid data on here to Black women. And then Black women are really likely to be infected by the urban monocultural mind virus, and just like a nightmare to date. Because like I know like a bunch of like based like Black men who would make like really excellent husbands and fathers. I don't know a single based Black woman.
Who's not an immigrant?
Who's not an immigrant, I should say, who's not African. But I don't know. I'm talking about like American Black. I mean, imagine.
Sorry, I was trying to think of a non-immigrant. Yeah, and I'm not even saying from Africa, Caribbean, New Zealand, super based, super fun. So like not even like even from non-African countries.
Yeah.
But like I guess growing up Black in America, and that's the thing. That's why I'm saying like the calls coming from inside the house in terms of systemic
well, the problem is
suppression of Black
if you
population.
assume-
There's a very toxic culture and mindset that's being shoved down the mimetic throats of many Black communities in America that I think prevents things like marriage and makes like Black pills people unnecessarily and does all these things that really harm people over the long term.
Well, I mean, I think that this is much more important to talk about, and like every base Black person will say this, and it's part of the problem of dealing with this is that you because it was in the urban monoculture, you cannot assume there are differences between groups. Like, they can't be earning less because they're not studying as much, even though you can look at something like the amount of study time per week or something like that, and you can see Asian Americans, like as I always point out, like if culture does not impact earning potential and all earning potential differences are due to systemic like discrimination, then how is it that the Japanese, despite the internment camps, are out earning white people already, right? Like insignificantly. Like that seems to indicate that and I think it was.
I'll give the answer why Japanese, because the Japanese paid a serious cost by the United States government when they dropped that first bomb, and they also now drop bomb, but they put them in camps. This was owed to them by America because they did them wrong, which is repair. They're like many other nations got repair for what America's done to them. The only people that didn't get their reparations or their form of repair was Black people in America. That's how they're able to thrive and come up, for those that don't know. And that's the truth they're not talking about. But you see, we go and we hear these conversations. We not understand the root cause of how these people came up. Oh, you got reparations from America in the billions for what they did to you. And not only that, America made deals with you to help build back your economy. And these are conversations that's not being talked about. But like I said, I understand why people will do broadcasts like this and will big up these groups, not Black. So, and if they do, they're on top of the ones that's not from here, but shit on Black people in America. I find it very disingenuous, very repulsive, very repulsive. Anyway, let's keep going.
Something like 11 hours on homework a week by Asian families. This isn't just Japanese families.
Insane. Insane, yeah.
Right? But if you can't, hold the candle to your own culture, and Blacks can do this individually, but I think there really is.
You mean hold a magnifying glass to your own
hold a magnifying glass, yeah,
I
and say,
love your mixing of metaphors. I've got no crystal bullet on this.
I've got no crystal. What's wrong with this, right? And I think that like we're not allowed to have that conversation as a society, and because we're not allowed to have that conversation, a challenge like this, that realistically it's not gonna be fixed. Like the alarm bells are not going to sound. It's not palatable for progressives to lose the narrative of the only demographic that is solidly in the progressive pocket is going to be declining as a portion of the United States population, whereas the Hispanic immigrant group that they thought was going to be on their side and has shown not to be, is still growing, right? And the conservatives are still growing. They don't want that narrative out there. They've already in such a doomer position right now in regarding the midterms. I don't know if you've seen the talk about what's going on with the midterm stuff. I thought about outlining an episode on that.
No, I've not really been paying attention to
So a lot of the initial numbers are looking really bad for Democrats on the midterms.
Okay.
And people are like, well, they're assuming it's going to be like Trump's first terms midterms. And what a lot of the analysts are pointing out is, but by this time in the data, it already looked bad for Trump. We're not seeing that this time. We are seeing Trump's numbers stay remarkably robust in terms of, whether it's like favorability or whether it's party sentiment or whether it's, which could mean very bad. I mean, like.
All right, I'm gonna shift gears here because, well, actually, let me finish. I'm spitting. I'm probably gonna stop this part.
If it goes further Republican this cycle, that's going to be really bad for Democrats, especially with the Supreme Court case on the table, which would prevent the racialized redistricting of the South. And they could lose 19 Congress people for this. And that would be huge. Like that would permanently tip the US into a new sort of conservative era. I mean, we're already heading there due to differential fertility rates. But yeah,
All right. He says enough. Said enough. Shifting gears here. Now, what I'm going to do now, and let me stop this. I'm going to pull up the articles now. I think it's time for the articles. Let me, how much, where was I? Yeah, 30 minutes. I'm done with that. All right. Let me make some space here. All right. The first article I'm going to pull up now. And let me see. Okay. Where is it? Oh, damn, I did not pull up that part. We're going to pull up where they got this same with this burp chart from. They got this from Twitter. For those that could see, this is where they got it. And I'm going to say this for those that don't know. Anytime anybody's using Twitter as the parameter of these numbers, you need your head exam. Because if they're going to use one source, which is CDC, we stay on the source at the CDC. We don't just pivot to other sources that is not or anything more tangible than the CDC. All right. Now, next one. Let me see. No. I'm going to go with the National Vital Statistics. And in this one, we're going to look at where they get this 1.4 to 1.5. And it looks like they got here from 2023 live births, general fertility rates in the United States. As you know, they said it starts to slowly drop, I believe, and it's hard to read this. Revised different published birth rates 2020. Okay. And it shows from teenager to adults. Table 2. So this is figure 1. I'm not sure this table 2. And I'm looking at this now. It went down 2%. Okay, let's go down more. Birth rates by selected age mothers of the United States, 1990 from 2023, which is a period of 33 years. But now we're at 35 now, but it's 33 years ago up 2023. It shows the age and the dippings. Yeah. Rate by 1,000 women. And women at the age of 50 and older, you know, you're not going to have no children after that. So, live births, yeah. And here shows table of prenatal care. That's inflation. Vaginal burps delivered by after considered delivery. These are ones that they cut the belly open. This is the rate, the data on that, which I'm not concerned about. And here's interesting data right here that no one has talked about. And I've noticed personally firsthand. Let me zoom in. This thing with babies per person, right? Now, as you know, prenatal age, birth weight, characteristic polar, early prenatal upwards of all births at 2.76, and patterns from 10.41%, and very low birth rates at 1.36. These are the total of all burps. But they say here from single burps, this is the number roughly, looks like 3,482 upwards, which is a 2.17 early prenatal low birth rates. And twins is roughly just above 100K and 19.95 early preterm, low birth weights, all this stuff. And twins birth rates has actually gone down, which I was surprised went down. And there's reason why it went down because let's be honest, a lot of people, if they're not having kids at a certain age, your chance of you do have kids very likely, no matter what your health is. And it goes back again when people have issues with high risk and also, we got to equate to the diet too. Obesity plays a role in that. All right. By race and Hispanic origin and mothers. There's a table by Hispanic origin and birth rates at 10.7. Fertility rates 54.5%. And it just increased. Actually, fertility rates for Hispanic people have actually started to dip. From 2010 to 2023, it was at as high as 64.1% and down to 54.5%. Non-Hispanic single race, American Indian, Alaskans, they went actually down as well. Asians, same thing at 2016. It was a high at 61% and it went down. Blacks, same thing, 63.3%. So out of the Spanish and blacks, they were only neck and neck in regards the percentage of fertility rates of how often they get knocked up from 2016 up to 2023. And usually the total, it went go far as back all races and origin. Here is roughly, it went down to 54.5%. So this is all race. My fault. I was reading wrong. All races, it was right now as low as 54.5, and now we're 2025. So I expect to be just shutting at 54% for all races. Blacks 53.7 at 2023. That's the rate by percentage, the possibility. And it was high as 63 to as low as 53.7, which is now roughly around at 54%. Whites at the time, this is as low. This is 2023, 51.7. The chance of they getting knocked up. So I'm looking at this and I question their data about now at 2025. Like, we're not sure how they keeping track now, if there's a benchmark. This is, and people, this is CDC data from 2010 to 2023. So this is not something that I just pull up different. This is the CDC last updated. There's no 2025 yet, but it should be here closely once we have things up and running back in the government. And right now, the highest from whites from 2016 was 58.8, and went down to 51.7, slightly at 52%. Now, everybody said we're not should go by percentage, but they went by percentage by person as well, from what I'm looking at. Not could be wrong. And we're looking more. All right, let's keep going down. Birth and birth rates in the United States, 2010 to 2023. And by race and Hispanic origins of mothers in the United States from 2016 to 2023. Same thing. This is Hispanics alone. And did we look at Hispanics alone here? Yeah, Hispanics right now is they shown from 2020. They have a high fertility rate at 64.7. So that might explain why they might have roughly over 2.4 children, since their fertility rate is high. I wouldn't be surprised if it's around that. The highest back in 2016 was 70.6%. All right. And next one, birth rates by age of mother of the United States. Now, we all know most mothers nowadays have gone down from teen pregnancy, and that's been gone slightly down since 2010. To those that don't know. And it's showing here by the numbers, and I guess this showing percentage, the high rate of when they could potentially, the chance of they'll mother a child. And it shows for all race and origin right now, for all ages, as you can see here. it goes from 10 from 14, because remember, unless the child has puberty, or not puberty, sorry, if the woman doesn't, young girl doesn't menstruate, it's not really going to high chance to have a kid. But we all know now that a lot of children now are menstruating very early now. That's not talked about because of the food. So it shows here, it says 0.2 for 10 for 14, which we don't expect kids to have kids at this point. 15 from 17, roughly all right, kind of pushing it, 5.5. Once you go for 18 from 19, is at 24.6%, I believe. Yeah. And at 20 and 24 is at 57.5, 57.7, which is the benchmark right now where most women is expect to have first child around that age, roughly. And as they get older, they said it slightly increased that they got to have a child at 91.0% at 2023. 30 from 34, you better have a child because you're pushing at high risk, or you at the wall stage, 94.3. And at 35 from 39, they're at the wall stage, hit the wall, breaking the wall at 54.3%. And as they get older, it just only goes downhill, the rate. And we're not going to look at previous years because that's not really matter. Non-Hispanic, single race, American Indian, Alaskan, we don't care about. The Asians, we don't really care much about because they're the same in the boat. Yeah. As they get older, yeah, they start having kids around, what's this? At 2020, yeah, around that, yeah. All right, blacks, roughly as they get older, they supposed to, the fertility rate starts to go heighten. From here at 18, 19, it dropped substantially in 2023, 35.5 to 17, 19, or 20, some 69.7. And it starts to increase as they get older. And here at 49.7, that's at 35, 39, which they got better have the kid or if they survive the high risk. And it falls down after that, after 40. Let's keep looking. This one right here is the fertility rate of sum of birth rates for 5-year age groups multiplied by 5 births related to birth of 1,000 women, which we're not concerned about. And this one right here, let me make this smaller. First child, second child, third child. This is by age, by the numbers, by a couple thousands here and there. The total is like for all races, and for it's like this amount. This is children born alive to mother. There's no year, so we can't go by determine this. Going down. Total birth rates of age, live birth order, race, Hispanic, blah. Age, race, Hispanic, origin groups, fertility compounds by, okay. All races. Yet again, we go by it again. Same numbers. First child. And it looks like the list goes on and on. So we're going to move on. This is just repeating. There's nothing new about this. So look at this one. National Vital Statistics. And I think this is a PDF. I think this is the same thing, guys. Let me stop this. Stop sharing for a second. I got to look at this. And let me see if anybody wrote anything in the chat room. Nope. Make sure you guys hit the like button because I'm not going to be looking at the chat room. I'm doing some things. I'm multitasking for those that know. Okay. So now we're going to look at another article, and this one is very intriguing. This one I came across. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. That I'm probably going to share with y'all. We're going to look at the American birth rate by year. Statistic facts. And this came from, where does this come from? Worlddata.com. This is like something that's recent. Fairly recent. American birth rates by 2025. The American birth rates of 2020 represent a crucial juncture of nation's demographic evolution, reflecting complex patterns that will shape America's future population structure. According to the latest data from the Center of Disease Control, CDC, and the health statistics of NHCH, United States continue to experience significant shifts in reproductive trends that mirror broad social economic transformations across American societies. The current provision data of the 2025 revealed that the American birth rate served as a vital indicator of national demographics, health, comprehensive statistics, compelling federal agencies, and there's a lot of commercials on why I'm seeing these commercials. I can't get rid of it. Federal agency demonstrate indicating relations between economic conditions, healthcare, access to culture, etc. And move myself smaller. I apologize. There we go. Let me hide that because I gotta see what I'm doing. Data analysts, government research highlight both challenging and opportunities to maintain the stability, population growth patterns while addressing the diverse need of American families across different regions, age groups, and ethnic communities. The key statistics of what they call about American birth rates 2025. The total birth rates is roughly 3,645,000, and that's of an increase of 1.0%. CDC provision. General rates of rating, 54.8 per 1,000 women. That's a 0.4 increase. National Vital Systems. Total fertility rates, 1.64 births per woman. 1.2 increase. NHCH data. Now, these people said that whites were having more by slightly, what's it? They said 1.5 last time I checked, and they sent a throw out some at 1.8. If I could remember, I could be wrong. But the true story is the total fertility rates right now in America is only increased slightly by what, 1.2%. That's not a great significant increase because of certain rollbacks of laws and stuff that they're going to slowly start get the birth rate up to possibly 2. We have a long way to go to be seeing a birth rate of over 2. And I say this, I'm going to say this again. A healthy replacement for every one child gone or one elder gone, there's a child replaced, is roughly over 2.4, roughly higher than 2.5. As we keep going, birth rates at age 15 through 19, 13.2 per 1,000 women. It's a negative 2.3. CDC birth statistics. Birth rates age 20 through 24, 64.5 per 1,000 women. A negative 1.8 decrease. NHC's age data specific data. Birth rates at 25 through 29, 95.4 per 1,000 women. A negative 9 was a decrease of federal birth registries. Birth rate age 30 through 34, 98.7 per 1,000 women. That's a negative 0.5 decrease. Vital statistics. Birth rate ages 35 to 39. These are one where you're at the wall, the danger zone, you hit the wall, you're at high risk. It's 52.3 per 1,000 women. No changes. CDC demographic data. And this is 2025, guys, mind you. Birth rates ages 40 to 44, 12.8 per 1,000 women is a positive 2.4, a positive 2.4% increase. NCHS birth trends, because women And I'm hoping that it's for first child. You're at 40. Because now you at a danger point in life. I don't care what they say about your ex. You're an old woman when you're having a kid for first time at 40. It's not good. It's not attractive. Consider delivery rates. 32.1% of births. Positive 0.8 increase. Natural date of birth. Cesarean delivering birth. That means they cut the baby open. The American birth rates by 2025. And I'm going to make this big because I got to see what I'm doing. And let's remove this. All right. The American birth rates of 2025 data revealed fascinating patterns in reproduction behaviors across different ages demographically. The number of births increased by 1% from 2023 with 3,622,000 births recorded in 2024, establishing a foundation of understanding current trends. The fertility rate statistics demonstrate that while young age groups continue to experience declines in birth rates, older marital age groups show stability or modest increase, reflecting evolved family planning prior to among American women. Analysts of 2025 birth statistics indicate significant demographic shifts that government research attributes to multiple interconnections factors, including educational attainment, career priorities, economic conditions, and healthcare accessibility. Age-specific birth rates decline for females in ages groups 15 through 34 were unchanged for women ages 35 through 39 and rose for women ages 40 through 44. Oh, bitches. Let's keep real. Demonstrating the trends towards delaying childbearing that has characterized American reproductive patterns for the past decade. These patterns reflect broader societal change in women roles, economic participation, and life planning strategies that influence when and how many children American families choose to have. Yeah. And it shows here again the data from 2015 all the way to 2025. We were up to roughly approaching 4 million total births, which is a total of 12.4, 62.5% per 1,000 women, 1.84 birth per woman. That's slightly around 2. From 2026, it started to slowly drop. As you can see, it's dropping. It's dropping. It's dropping. It's dipping. It dipped. It started to fluctuate a little, but it dipped. Well, actually, it dipped. It kept dipping up to 2024. And it started to slowly, from what they said, climb up. So they've been paying attention of the birth rate of Americans. Y'all see that? All right. So it slowly started to climb back up in 2024. America is 54.4 per 1,000 women, 1.63 per births per women. The lowest was 1.62 per births, which is still low. Anything under 2.4, or let's be honest, anything under 2.2 is low. At risk, high risk. And over decades, demonstrate the clear patterns of demographic transitions with significant decline occurred between 2015 and 2020, following the modest stabilization and the slight recovery in recent years by 2023. Births have declined in 3.59 million in 2024, showing a minor increase of 3.62 million births rate statistic. And let's go back here. Remember, Roe v. Wade made turnaround in 2022, and it didn't take effect until the next year. And I think because now it's harder for a lot of women to really delete their child, that's what I would conclude why it started to uptick. For those that don't know. and steep fertility declines during 2015-2020 period, with the total fertility rate dropping from 1.84 to 1.64 births per woman, represent a 10.9% in decrease, reflecting board, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Analysis of the U.S. birth rate trends from 2015 to 2025 shows that the birth rates in the United States has been steadily declining. And in 2022, there were 11 births per 1,000 of population. The 2020 decline was particularly pronounced, likely influenced by pandemic-related uncertainties, economic disruptions, and healthcare access challenges that caused many families to delay childbirth. No, it's more than that. Most women still were having the option to delete their children. I know for a fact, Black women, especially when we had the lockdown, they did not stop Planned Parenthood for Black women to sit there and terminate their children. For those that did not know. Did y'all know that? All right. And it says slightly stabilized but renewed declines in 2025 by a modest increase. And it's supposed to increase because now it's hard for a lot of people to delete their babies. That's one thing they don't talk about. Besides all the fertility issues or anything, housing, cost, surprise. No, that didn't stop people from screwing and having kids. The thing that really started to slowly uptick is when you can't go to that Planned Parenthood and get their baby sucked out. And that's the thing they don't talk about. And here it shows about multiple births. It goes down and went back up slightly. Yeah. Multiple birth rates demonstrate significant change in the past decades. We're not concerned about U.S. multiple birth trends. This birth trends, multiple birth trends. It went down. Teen births, which we're not really focused on too much because if you're a teenage birth, you're crazy at this point, but it is what it is. And this gives more beautiful. This thing right here gives more a cohort look at the birth rates from 2023 to 2025. I'm going to put this in Discord for those to look at it for further research. Oh, here's one that caught my attention. Oh, this one good one right here. This right here is a fertility rate right here. Right here, it shows the birth rate statistics of 2025 for women in their 20s showed continued decrease, reflecting broad social economic factors that influence reproductive timing decisions, economic pressures, educative pursuits, career establishment, and changing in culture attitude and towards marriage and family formation contribute to these patterns. Conversely, the stability in birth rates among women ages 35-39 and the increase among women ages 40 to 44 indicate that many American women are successfully achieving their reproductive goal despite starting families later in life, supporting advanced and reproductive medicine and change social attitudes, etc. U.S. fertility rates by race, ethnicity of 2025. This is 2025. Now, one thing they said that we were low and they were high. Not from this article here. It's showing something different. And this is why I always question where people get the information from that portray this. I'd rather you put out, besides CDC, these are real, actual information. Like, if you're going to put up CDC, I'd rather you put up the whole CDC and just run it down for us. Instead talking about it and then show some stupid little picture that you could barely see. Matter of fact, the picture was not blown up. I can't barely see that. And say, this is where you are and this is where I'm at. That's not acceptable in my opinion. And a lot of people that watch these podcasts and take that verbatim and take it as gospel, you need your... I'm going to leave that alone. All right. Whites. 49.9 per 1,000 women. Total fertility rate, 1.52 births per woman. Blacks, 58.9 per 1,000 women, 1.7 births per woman. Hispanics, which are white, unfortunately, have the highest, 1.89 births per woman. And that's 65.7 per 1,000 women. So right there, that destroys anything that says about what they said. And I'm showing where I got this. Can most of your YouTubers podcast show you where they got? I don't think so. Let's move on. And here it shows the birth rates by states. And these are only states they only give us the information. I'd rather see all 50 states. This I cannot accept because we're missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're missing another 40 states. Utah, North Dakota, Texas, Alaska, Idaho, California, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. These are all white states. I'm sorry. Then there are black people in New York and California, very small percent, and there are a lot in Texas. But mostly they put out here, you don't see a good percentage of black people. I'm gonna leave that alone. Moving on. U.S. teen birth rates trend right here, decline. And U.S. birth rates by economics. It shows here. Healthcare deliveries shows here. Home births went up. Midwife, hospital births always up. Midwife is 10.8%. C-section rates too high. Yeah. And U.S. birth rates in urban versus rural areas. It shows here large urban areas 12.6 per 1,000. Fertility rate at 1.58. That's where I think they try to compare black people, which that's what they got from the CDC. Population share of 62.3%. Medium urban areas 1.67, 18.7%. Small urban areas 1.74, 11.2, and rural areas much higher, which where black people mostly reside in rural areas instead of most parts in cities. That's it. That's it, guys. So there you have it. There you have it. So wrapping up, what can I say for all this? The only advice I give people, if they're going to give a disclaimer or any data statistics of who's up and who's not, to be balanced, no people in America, whether you're born here or not, is replacement in regards how you keep a stable growth in regards to population. We are below replacement. 1.5, 1.4, wherever they say it is not replacement level for those that don't know. That's insignificant. You are actually not replaced. You're losing. And now you're losing. Now, word on the street is, from hearing from the black side of things, that by the next 5 years, black people, black men, black women, or wherever, we're not going to have, the rumor is we're not going to have kids by 2030. That's just the rumor. The rumor, guys. So let that sink in. The reason why is because a lot of us, unfortunately, reached the apex in regards to perpetuating the race in America. Now, will foreign blacks replace? Yes, they would, if they have not been so heavily indoctrinated in the West here in America and dealing with the economy and the social systems here in America. They will possibly replace in regards to only black people that come from possibly two black parents. And I said possibly, depending which background the black person is. And they're from Africa, I don't have too much faith generally, because a lot of them, when they come to America, they want to seek non-black people. If you're the Caribbean, the same thing. Some people that has better hope is someone that's been in America for a while and got into the American social order. That's the only savior. But other than that, you know, this myth in regards to this birth rate crisis, I don't really would say it's accurate. And if it's not accurate, it's not really factual. And it's another clickbait at best. And any person that's doing content on this, I did because I got debunked some of this stuff as best as possible. Because I gotta be honest here, I did not see anything that proves their point about white people have a higher fertility than black people. I did enough experiment through AI, and I came out even. And using anything even, that means even they said it's not factual, because if it was true, it would have been to say, all right, this is true, this is the data, here's proof. It did not show none of that at all. So you guys be judged. So like I said, thank you for listening to today's content. Hope you enjoy this. Hope you learned something from this, guys. I hope you really learned something from this. I did put in the time to really think about this before I did this. And I hope that you give me some, hearts. Like this video, and please hype this video up if you find this useful. And if you want to find more information on where I find these articles, join the Discord service. It's in the description of this video if you made it this far. Join the Discord service. I'll put the links to that particular article I read. Other than that, thank y'all for listening to today's stream. I truly appreciate y'all time and energy on here. And until next time, till next time, guys. Really, truly. Really. Really. Let it go.
They like the chaos.
They like the chaos. So when you're able to
Chaos.
let that chaos reign with,
Chaos.
let that chaos reign with,
Chaos.
let that chaos reign with,
Must reign.